What's going on, YouTube? Today is an exciting day because we're out here at Woodburn Drag Strip to run our Africa Twin and see what kind of time we can put down. I like events like this because they're a little bit more chill. It's basically just a cool car show to show off your classic or your bike or whatever, and then also you can race if you want to see what your machine will do on the strip, but there's no eliminations or anything like that. So really cool. I love these types of events, and I'm really excited to see what the Africa Twin will do. I have kind of a frame of reference now. Previously, back in 2019, I was here and I ran my very first street bike on the strip ever, which was a 2018 Suzuki Boulevard M50. You know, it's a 800cc V-twin that makes around 45-50 horsepower and weighs about 500 pounds. At that time, I believe I ran a 1585 at 85 miles an hour. Now this bike behind me is much more powerful and much more quick than that, so I'm expecting a much better time. So I think it'll go from something like 1585 to maybe 1285. My guess is going to be between 1285 and 1265. So I'll split the difference and say 1275 at probably just over 100 miles an hour. I'm going to say 103. And if it hits that, I'll call it pretty good. Now this is a DCT model, so I don't have to worry as much about missing shifts. It should be pretty easy. I'm just gonna put it in Sport 3. We're gonna roll the throttle on all the way and see what it does. And I might try it out in manual mode too, just to see if that makes any kind of a tangible difference. I honestly don't think it will, but we'll find out. Now, interestingly enough, because I have never done a burnout on a DCT bike, and I really have no idea how that'll work out, we're not gonna do that. We're basically gonna go around the burnout box and just skip that. But frankly, being a 100 horsepower, 500 pound bike, I don't really think that it needs the extra grip from a burnout, especially on a hot day like today and on a professional track like this that is well prepped. Again, because this is just a fun event and we're just out here to have a good time, see what the bike will do, we're not gonna do those things. We're basically just gonna put it in Sport 3, go around the burnout box and see what it'll do. And like I said, I'm thinking 1275 at 103. That seems like a reasonable guess. All right, so we're gonna get geared up and we're gonna get over to TEC right now. I'm gonna let you guys know once we're done what that process is like, as well as the process for getting in and through the lanes. And then we're gonna go right into the racing. We're gonna show going down the track and what our ETs actually turned out to be like. We'll see if our spec sheet, Warrior, kind of rough estimate turns out to be in the ballpark or not. Again, this stuff is so subjective to the day and the time, the bike, the person, all those things. A lot of factors come into play that don't show up on a spec sheet, like how invasive the traction control may or may not be. Currently I have it set to 1. The wheelie control as well is also set to 1. But also like the heat of the track, how good the prep is, the temperature of the day. Today it's in the 80s, so I think it'll be a really, really good day as far as the track conditions go. Just sunny and beautiful, and it shouldn't get too hot to where the track gets actually slick. And again, not a high enough power bike really for that to generally make a difference on this kind of prepped surface on this kind of ideal day. So anyways, let's get to TEC and we'll talk more about that later. All right guys, we're all teched in. Right now the bike is sitting over in lane number 1. We're just kind of waiting for the event to kick off. Racing's supposed to start at 4, which is in like 10 minutes or so. And for this event, it's a little bit different. There's only like 20 people here. Normally there's a whole process you go through where you wait in your pit until they tell you when to stage. They call out what group you're in, then you stage up in the lane they called for your group. And then as you roll up the lanes, they might reposition you. But for the most part, you just, when they call your group to stage, you go get in that lane. And then they'll tell you who you're running side by side with. You can request to run against specific people if you want to, which is pretty cool. And events like this are really sweet because it's a small group, it's non-competitive. You're really just out here to have a good time, to do a little bit of racing on the track and check out other people's cars, which is awesome. Anyways, I'm just walking up to the bike now.
Upstairs. Stephanie the Beer Scan, I'm gonna have you come upstairs for a little bit here. Thank you.
Yeah, you gotta listen for the announcements. Anyways, I'm gonna jump on the bike and we're gonna just get ready to go. So I'm gonna cut to us getting staged up for the track. All right, see you there. All right guys, we're staged up in the lanes. We're getting the first couple of vehicles lined up and ready to go. So it's gonna be these 2 trucks, then the Mopars in front of us. Then I'm running right next to a big ass diesel truck. So
Hopefully we win, because if we don't, I'll be a little bit ashamed. It is a big truck with dualies. Like I said, I think we're shooting for a 1275 at 103. That's what I want to see. Okay, so see, he's waving these guys forward. They're getting waved up to the burnout box. So they'll get their chance to do their burnout as soon as these guys in the trucks start running the track. You see the guy on the right, he's going around the burnout box. You don't have to do a burnout. And this guy here on the left in the green car, as soon as these trucks go, he's going to do his burnout. And then when he pulls forward, the gentleman to my left here will wave us forward, and we'll stage up next to the burnout box. We should be running a sportsman's tree today, which means the lights are going to go 1, 2, 3 down, and that's... Okay. He's just saying I can run alone. I'm not going to run next to that truck, so it's just going to be me. But yeah, it'll be 1, 2, 3 green instead of all 3 and then green. So sportsman tree, not pro tree. All right, this will be interesting. All right, he's calling my number out because the tower can't see it on the right side of my bike. It's on the windshield. If you guys saw, we slipped right at the beginning. We had a slide. We had to roll out of the throttle and get it under control before we could roll back in and continue down the course. So that was more than I expected. It was a little greasy. I kind of expected the track to be stickier, like I mentioned earlier in the intro. I'm a little bit surprised. So we're going to have to roll on a little bit more gingery on our next pass. And unfortunately, the guy up there said we will not be able to run the 360 cam on our second pass, which is unfortunate, but we'll figure something else out. So I don't know, we might just have to run one camera for this. We'll see. Anyways, we're on pit road. This is what we call pit road on the way back, and we're going to stop up at the booth up here on the left, and we're going to get our time slip. We'll be able to take a look at that and see how we did. Thank you. Alright, let's go take a look and see how we did. Alright, so, how'd we do? 12.523. Dang, that is better than I thought. Our reaction time was 0.608. That wasn't very good. I think that's because we had that slide right away and we didn't go all the way through the beams. But, we'll see. I don't know. Let's get this camera off of here and then we'll stage up again. Okay. Very gently now.
All right, guys, well, that's our first 3 runs done. Our first run was our slowest, running a 12.523 with a 0.608 reaction time and a trap speed of 105.30. Our last was the fastest in elapsed time at 12.263 and a 0.323 reaction time and 105.85 miles an hour. So it was both faster in terms of a lower elapsed time and faster in miles per hour for the trap speed than what I thought it was going to be. But ballpark, we were fairly close. Although I gotta say, that's a pretty dang good time. All those runs were in automatic mode. The first one and the third one were in Sport 3, and the second one, which was right in that range between those two, was in standard drive mode. So I'm not really sure how much of a difference that really makes to run it in Sport 3. It just seems like it holds onto the gears longer, but if you're wide open anyways, it doesn't really make a difference. So that said, I think we're gonna try a couple more runs, but we're gonna do at least one more, maybe 2 in manual mode and see how it goes. So let's get out there. Well, that was not bad at all. The Africa Twins certainly exceed my expectations. Early on, before we got going, I said I figured we would run 1275 at about 103, and right off the bat on the first pass of the day, we ran a 12.523 at 105.30, which is already right at or higher than I thought was even possible with that bike. And that was in Sport 3 with the power all the way up, traction all the way down, and wheelie control all the way down. And we even had a slip right off the line when I got on it. I got on it real hard right away, didn't really roll the throttle, and basically just floored it to see. I did learn today, though, that they were not doing track prep, which became evident when I ran a few passes and they never put down any glue or did anything to get the track prepped. It was basically just we were running on an as-is surface. It was still warm from the sun of the day, but it felt slick right off the bat, so I had to go a little bit easy on it. Even so, the speed really exceeded my expectations, especially when you consider that I also didn't air the tires down, I didn't take any fuel out of the tank, I didn't really do anything to increase my odds, so that was really awesome. It was cool to learn too that there is actually an advantage to running it in manual mode. Our best time of the day was 12.109 at 106.68, 106.68 miles an hour. And then our second best time of the day was a 12.130, also at 106 miles an hour. And both of those were in manual mode. The big difference I noticed was that running it in Sport 3 and automatic, it would still shift into 5th gear before I crossed the beams at the end. Which means that that extra shift, that's time that power isn't getting put to the ground, and it slows us down by a decent margin. I think my best time was like a 12.263 with it in automatic mode in Sport 3. And that, that's a 1/10 and a half slower than running it in manual mode on basically both of those. So pretty good. We also improved our reaction time quite a bit. Our first reaction time of the day was a .608, and our best reaction time of the day was the very last pass we did at a .318, so pretty dang good. I also, before we end this video off, I want to shout out Woodburn Drag Strip. This place is really cool, and I love that they allow small creators like myself to come and film on their property. I wouldn't be able to make videos like this if it wasn't for venues like Woodburn Drag Strip allowing me to come and race and film, and also if it weren't for events like this that allow everyday people to get out on the track, learn how it works, learn how racing functions, essentially, all the staging and the brackets and the lanes and all those things. So shout out to the people that staged up this event. It was really cool. I'm gonna try and gather all the information I can and put it on screen up here so that you guys can see what the event is. Anyways, I think I'm gonna end the video off here, but before I do, I wanna hear from you guys. Did you like this kind of content? Do you wanna see more in the future? If we wanted to, we could try and do a similar video where maybe we take the Africa Twin and we enter a bracket race and we go through that whole process and see how well we do. Or we could take other bikes, maybe like the KTM 390 or something else on the channel, and try and run that down the strip and see what kind of time we get at another similar event to this in the future. If they've got one on the calendar, I'll have to double check. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Did you like it? Is this your jam? What would you like to see done differently? I definitely appreciate the feedback. And thanks for watching so much. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.